We now come to a very special session of SICA, the jury session. So as you must have heard in the beginning of this program that we had over 200 award entries. Now these are 200 organizations, not individuals. And you can imagine what a difficult task it would be to evaluate the works of these organizations, each one of them doing, amazing in their own way. So for that, we have our jury. I'm so glad we don't have to do that. We have 14 jury members this year from the IITs, the IIMs, central universities, NLUs, and today we also had corporates. So now today we have some members of our jury board joining us to discuss about the kind of nominations that we had, and we would like to hear from them what inputs do they have for us of improvement and whatever their observations were. So we bring the jury perspective to you in a live conversation with Ruchika Kumar and myself. So now I'll invite our jury members who are with us. Dr. Umakant Dash, Vice Chancellor, Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics. He was the former director of IRMA. Can we have a round of applause for him? We have Dr. Chandrika Parmar, Associate Professor of General Management and Director, Development of Corporate Citizenship at SPJIMR. IMR. We have Dr. Rina Kashyap, Associate Professor, Department of Political Science at Lady Shri Ram College. We have Lieutenant General Suresh Sharma, former Engineer-in-Chief and former Director General, Border Roads, Ministry of Defense. We have Mr. Sanjay Khajuria, former Director, Corporate Affairs and Sustainability at Nestle India. And we have Ms. Shaila Sam, the head of Impact and Communications, Development Alternatives Group.
A huge round of applause for them, please. I'd like to begin with this doha. I'm sure everybody is aware of it. बचपन में कभी सुना होगा स्कूल में कि गुरु गोविंद दो खड़े काके लागे पाओ, बलिहारी गुरु आपने गोविंद दियो दिखाओ. तो गोविंद हैं और सामने गुरु हैं, तो नतमस्तक हम गुरु के होंगे क्योंकि वही हमें सही राह और मार्ग दिखाने वाले हैं, वही हमारे मार्गदर्शक हैं. थैंक यू जूरी मेंबर्स. आपका बहुत बहुत आभार. थैंक यू फॉर बीइंग देयर एंड सम ऑफ यू हैव बीन देयर सिंस आवर फर्स्ट एडिशन. लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल सुरेश शर्मा स्पेशली सर, थैंक यू सो मच. सर उमाकांत दास सर, आप भी, एंड डॉक्टर रीना कश्यप, आप लोग हमारे साथ शुरू से बने रहे हैं, एंड वी आर वेरी वेरी थैंकफुल टू ईच एंड एवरी वन ऑफ यू. वी आर ग्रेटफुल टू ऑल ऑफ यू फॉर योर कंटिन्यूड सपोर्ट एंड गाइडेंस. So let's begin this discussion. The first thing that we'd like to know from each one of you is your experience with the evaluation process, and if you found anything challenging or anything extraordinary that came up, among the nominations. So what was your overall experience? And if you have any recommendations, not just for the CSR universe, but for our social sector stakeholders here, and then I'm sure there's some people who will be nominating the organizations in the next edition. So we can start with Shaila ma'am, please.
Good evening. Good evening, and thank you to the CSR universe to consider me as a jury. It was a huge learning for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed going through each one of the people who, showcased their work. It was an eye-opener also, and I think CSR universe did a thorough job in the evaluation mechanisms, in the way the entire evaluation process was done. It was very easy for a jury. When I first opened it, I said, wow, there's so many. But then when I read through it, it was so easy. So thank you so much, CSR Universe.
Good evening to everyone. Congratulations to Ashish, Ruchika, Shweta, and the team. You've done amazing work in curating this and bringing to the fore this very expansive notion of responsibility in our individuated times. And I think that's what really struck me is that there are a range of organizations who are expanding this notion of responsibility, because we live, as I said, in very individuated times. And to have people do this professionally and keeping in mind that how it also segued into, existing government schemes. I think for me that was interesting is that this time when I was looking at the applications is that, this was something like a public-private partnership. So giving a very new twist to the idea of innovation, that it does not have to be something that you invent from anew. It is also about how do you now use your existing resources, the existing framework, use the government scheme as a template and or a framework to just move forward and put your program into it. So that for me was interesting. And another interesting thing that I found this time was that the project implementation, the designers had kept in mind the target audience as beneficiaries, that what is a
so to say, must have spent tons of hours really to go through how the impact assessment has to be done, what parameters you should look at. I think whosoever has done that, really congratulate that person. I'm sure you all have done that. So heartiest congratulations. I think it was very robust, very transparent, very objective. Because sometimes if a sheet is given to you and you're told to judge people, your own subjectivity comes in, your objectivity starts to get lost somewhere. The second thing which I thought was very interesting was that it captured what all you need to look at. You could be 20-year-old NGO, you could be 4-year-old NGO, you could be working on a budget of, let's say, 10 million, you could be working on a 100 million budget. There was a way in which impartially you could judge all these entries, which I think was a very, very good thing. Also a confession to make that when I looked at the entry first day when you sent it, I looked at 3, 4 and some ranged from 10 pages to 30 pages, 26 pages. My first reaction was, oh my God, I accepted it, but now it's going to take a lot of time. I can tell you, once you start reading the first entry, you actually got hooked on. And then you read it again and again and again. And as you said, sir, the challenge was, how do you score anyone lesser than the other? But again, a way had to be done. What I also found very interesting in these entries was that it captured so many things we normally talk about. Livelihood, waste management, water, how corporations are working in these areas. I think in those entries we could see really ecosystem of how CSR universe is working. And I think to me that was very good. You also asked a question as to what could have been better in some entries. I think they were all phenomenally good, but some had done amazing work on showing what the impact their programs had done. Some for whatever reason couldn't really put it. In some cases the numbers were very clear and easy to understand. In some cases it was really, so I think it's journey for everyone, but end of the day, if we are sitting, many of you are sitting here, if you are making the entry, some of these things, if these could be looked at, and if there is one word I would say for this assessment, for me it was inspiration. You kept looking at the entries and you wanted to, in fact when I was coming here, I was again reading some of the entries because they were so interesting and it resonated so well. This is what we need as a country, and this is what the great work which the partners are doing. So thank you very much for inviting.
Thank you. Thank you, CSR Universe, and thank you, M3M Foundation, for the invitation, because I think that's one of the biggest gifts that you give us when you call us to become the member of a jury is the gift of learning. Because the scale and the kind of, the geographies, the kind of entries that are there, they help you learn, even as a jury member. And there are 2 times when I'm very nervous, and not nervous, but I'm very afraid also about the choices I make. One is when I sit on interviews for the students who have to enter into the MBA school. I'm very, very nervous when I'm sitting on that. I'm really careful. And the second time is when I'm sitting as a jury member anywhere. Because I think there's a sense of responsibility, and because there is such great phenomenal work happening across the thing, the choice is so difficult. The choice, and how does, because they're all complementary work. They're complementary, they feed into each other, they inspire, and yet you're putting something there, finally in the final instance, which is a very difficult task to make. Which is again sometimes the thing we do when we're picking up students for that final 360 who are going to be out of that 20,000 who have applied to your institution. So I think it's absolutely inspiring. The scale, the geographies, the complementarity, the learning that we go through, and I think to listen to and interact with people and come to know about the work's happening, which you sometimes have not even imagined happening. So thank you so much for that. And thank you so much to those of you who put your entries in and gave us such a phenomenal set of reading and learning.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I think now I can dare say that this is my 3rd chance, Ruchika, to be with you all. And thank you very much for every time sending me an invite. And now some of the faces have started looking familiar. Well, I think so that my thoughts don't go wonky and here and there, I listed out a few things which I must share with you. It's an experience, undoubtedly, going through these, whatever selected number. Firstly, it's a very large number, which was shortlisted by the team and then given to us in a very limited manner so that we can do full justice. So it's really very, very, I would say, heartening to see, to learn the entire canvas of the CSR activities, the way these are being done and very honestly put across. No doubt, when an entry is being put across, you always put your best foot forward. But along with that also comes certain amount of sincerity and the integrity part of it. Now, the judging part was not so difficult this time because I think you all have now, the selection metrics has now matured over a period of time. So it was comparatively easier and quite straightforward. And my compliments to the team who have worked hard. Now, just to share some of my ideas, that firstly, in this world today where everything is getting corporatized, even CSR is now getting into that scheme of things. But it is something, the person whoever is dealing with the CSR, he or she has to be, firstly, like any other job, has to be very passionate about it. It is something which you have to do, they'll say. It is not a job, it's a passion. That's one thing that I would like to leave a message here with all those people who are growing in this field and dealing with this field, one. Second is, if you see the way CSR has developed in our country, initially, rightly so, we were not such a rich nation. So everybody was focused about how to create their livelihood. Then we said, okay, something to do more about education, empowerment, women empowerment. Then came along many other things, the environment, okay? And now a couple of other things have got added. So this is one thing which is, but so far I see the metrics or the canvas is only getting painted with this kind of activities. More and more related to education and livelihood, which is very good. But spare some out of it. Like Mr. Rina brought it out, that okay, while you are 80% of the effort, let it go into the livelihood and training and empowering and everything. But 20% leave it. Last year I shared an idea with you and I thought I volunteered that I'll do it, that let's devote something to the corporates becoming a bit more responsible to the disaster management. I don't know how many people would agree with that. Ours is a country, irrespective of however well prepared you are, something will go wrong somewhere. And are we so well prepared? See what happened in J&K, especially in Jammu. Cloudburst, we were ill prepared. Okay. Is there a case in point that people dealing with the CSR start looking at these things also? And I'm going to leave a second thought with you. Because after all, no, we are now today, India is not what it was 50 years back. We are a developing nation. We have a vision. I very recently, about 15 days back, I've come back tour of two cities rather. I went to Prague and I went to the neighboring city, Budapest. Now, two neighboring cities, but very different history, historically, those who followed it. Second World War, where the entire Central Europe was getting disturbed and damaged. Prague was one city which was preserved. So you go and see a beautiful city. Well, it's beautiful, but also don't forget the fact that it was not rebuilt. Go to the neighboring city, Budapest. Okay, the entire city was demolished virtually, war damaged. It's getting rebuilt. It is actually now getting, it's what is amazing to see that the way they have gone about it. So the point that I'm making is preservation of heritage. It's a very specialized subject. Some of our architects also claim that they're heritage architects, but I wonder if they do. Now you see those new buildings coming up, they merge so well. Even if you see pre-war, okay, and you see what is being done now 3 years back, very difficult to distinguish whether it belongs to this era or 50 years back. Such a beautiful job being done. The point that I'm making, would the CSR people try and also spare some effort towards this, the heritage that we have. Okay, so this just a thought and fleet. Okay, a couple of other things that I wanted to see that, okay, you have, somebody spoke about sustainability, I don't need to, I think all of us, and it's a good thing that any forum today, unless you talk about sustainability, yeah. So any project which is dealing with the CSR has to be sustainable. Great. Technology infusion, we had a very prominent panel discussing that unless there is a technology infusion into our projects today, the projects will not survive. We have to modernize and technologically upgrade them. Integration, I think, very beautifully brought out, and one gentleman who spoke about Gati Shakti, and I think mere muh ki chheen li. I was about to quote the same thing, that Gati Shakti, look at it, what was happening in terms of infrastructure, so many agencies, A, B, C, D, everybody doing, till somebody came about that, is there somebody in the country, an agency in the country, which is looking at the whole thing together? So all that I want to see is, like the Gati Shakti, develop a map of CSR in the country today, which has multi-layers, and something which you call that overlays. Have the CSR overlays into the different fields, will give you an idea as to how things are moving about. Ruchika, note it down. I'll also write a small note to you. You can elaborate about it. I call it CSR overlay over the basic Indian map. Let the government know about it as to how many of us are doing things which are duplicated, okay, to avoid that. Budget, of course, is something like that. So somebody said sustainability, definitely, scalability, definitely, and I'll add to it, smart. No project is worth its salt today in today's times, technologically infused and smart. Smart in the sense that it should be beneficial to the people that it is meant for. It should be understandable, it should be implementable, and one thing in your matrix, I will leave that, okay, you have 5, within 5 you could either make it part of one of those or add a new one called the implementability of the project. Let's not have utopian projects, let's not have bookish projects, let's have very, very practical, implementable projects. So scalability, you already have it. Budget, you already have it. Okay, technology, you already have it. Innovation, you already have it. Please include a factor called the implementability. That is where 50% of the projects get stuck. Share with me if I'm wrong. Thank you very much.
And I always ask this, and ma'am, last year you did not answer. I always ask, was there any nomination that stood out to you or that has stayed with you? You don't have to name it, but what stood out to you about that particular entry or nomination, if you'd like to share? And if you have any concluding remarks for us or the nominees this year.
So, I was in the livelihood, this thing in the list, and there was an organization which I found was it touched my heart, but I don't know whether it's got the award or not. It was cancer patients and survivors and who had got livelihood. I don't remember the name of the NGO, but the way they had documented all that, it was really remarkable. It wasn't a big scale thing, but I thought it was very touching that you're giving hope, which would have been lost otherwise, you know. So I think it's a very genuine thought behind that whole work that they were doing, and I thought it was, however small, it was very nice.
I think for me, as I did say, what really stood, I mean, not one particular. Yeah, this one is, okay, yeah. So I think what, as I did say, what really for me was interesting this time, and what stood out for me was the care and, you know, which had gone into seeing what he's spoken, what Rina spoke about in terms of, is it going to be implementable? So there they had taken care of what is the social structure of the beneficiaries, of the intended beneficiaries. So there was one in which the parents were working as domestic help. So how would the child get access to the mobile phone? So how many hours would that be? So, you know, those kind of issues were taken care of. I think that's what really, you know, made me think that whoever has designed the program, and it was not just one project, but several others were looking at all that, which was not the case earlier, or at least they didn't put that across. So this is what, you know, came through for me. And I also think that what here, even in their presentation, you know, the project designers, implementers, whoever was preparing that report was not looking at them as people down there who have to be helped. It was, they were doing it with so much of respect and enthusiasm. I think that, for me, was again a big shift. And considering that, you know, the news today is punctuated, dotted with hopelessness, there was hope. And I think it made me feel very reassured. I was doing it late at night, Ruchika, if you remember. And I think I could just keep going on because it just gave me so much of energy and hope and courage that, okay, we are in a good space. So I think that, and here again, I'm again skipping your question, I'm not identifying any one, but I think this feature was a new one for me this time.
Thank you. I think again, as I told you, each project or each entry was unique in certain way. But if you ask me to just name a couple of them, I think one which Madam has already pointed out was a cancer. I was fortunate to go through again that same, I guess. The second one is the farmer and overall development of the village, where they're taking care of the agriculture, they're taking care of dairy, they're taking care of not only the health and wellness of the animals, but also they take care of the families. And they are also investing in R&D. So I thought they are doing a kind of holistic overall development of the rural community. Of course, it's very difficult, and they've been working, but I think that is which I found where they're also targeting the SDGs. That I thought was more appealing to me in some sense.
Thank you. So one confession, the projects I'm going to talk about are those projects which are very close to my heart. Doesn't mean that they scored very high. So I didn't let my personal preferences come in the way of jury assessment. So there was one project which was on rescuing wasted food or food loss. That was a very good idea. I think as a country we waste tons of food. Each of us, if you were to take an average, it's 50 kilo per person per year wastage. So that was one which was very, very interesting. There was one which was on waste management. Overall, I think they had also put it in a very innovative way, the way entry came in. And the third one for me was the whole livelihood. And that entry had basically put figures as to how much income had gone up. and it was a project which was very diverse in nature. So I have many more, but these three really come out because of my personal preference for some of these areas.
Thank you. I'm not going to name any in the sense that, because I don't want to. I think each one complements others in a different way, because there are no losers and there are no winners today. Because every entry stands up in different ways. Sometimes something touches you because it's a community that the organization is working with. Sometimes it's an issue that the organization is working on. Sometimes it's a geography that they're working on. Sometimes it's the idea with which they're working on. So, and I think in the bottom line, what you get left with is a sense of hope and a sense of fact that, it leaves you with a lot of should we say positive energy, a lot of inspiring stories which otherwise you don't get. And that is what, for me, stands out. That you say, oh my gosh, such incredible work is happening in so many nooks and corners, and in so many variations, which sometimes you don't even know yourself, even if you think you're in that space. So, thank you.
I have 3 mics and nothing to speak. I've spoken it all. Thank you very much. I've said it all, whatever I wanted to. Beautiful. Lovely submissions this time, and I think, yeah, certainly. We've seen it all now, 3rd time that I'm seeing it. Definitely there is qualitatively, quantitatively, both. Yes, thank you very much.
Been with us, and imagine how lucky we are that there are such senior people who can come and say, since previous year I see this improvement. I mean, as organizers, it's very heartwarming for us, and also to the new jury members, Sheila ma'am and Sanjay sir. Thank you, and we hope to have you again. So we'd like to felicitate now. Ashish is here, and Ruchika. Yes, come in.
Round of applause, please.
Yes,